John Wayne Gacy, the Killer Clown. One of the darkest faces of America, a demonic mind hidden behind a clown costume. A man known to his neighbors as a helpful individual was, in fact, one of the most terrifying serial killers in history. Today, I'll take you into the dark world of John Wayne Gacy, known as the Killer Clown. We'll talk about everything, from his childhood to the gruesome murders he committed, how he was caught, and his execution. If you're ready, let's dive into one of the most chilling crime stories in American history. The Birth of a Monster, Gacy's Childhood and Early Years. John Wayne Gacy was born on March 17, 1942, in Chicago, Illinois. He appeared to be an ordinary child on the outside, but his life at home was very different. Gacy claimed that his father was a heavy drinker who verbally and physically abused him and the rest of the family. He reportedly accused Gacy of not being man enough and belittled him constantly. It's believed that this damaged Gacy's self-esteem and caused him to withdraw socially. Throughout his school years, Gacy suffered from various health problems and would occasionally faint. The cause of his condition was never definitively diagnosed, and his father suspected he was faking illness. Gacy was socially isolated, but still tried to be active in public life during his youth. His desire for social acceptance would later form the foundation of the charm he used as a mask. He developed an interest in politics in high school, and at 18 joined the local Democratic Party, eventually working as a precinct captain for a candidate. Eventually, overwhelmed by his father's abuse, he decided to move to Las Vegas, Nevada, to live with a cousin. There, he worked as a mortuary attendant for 3 months before returning to Illinois. Soon after, he enrolled at Northwestern Business College, graduated, and got a job at a shoe company. A double life. In 1964, Gacy married his co-worker Marlynn Myers. They had 2 children, 1 boy and 1 girl. The family moved to Iowa, where Gacy managed restaurants owned by his father-in-law. He was seen as a respected businessman in the community, but his dark side slowly began to surface. In 1968, Gacy was convicted of sexually assaulting a 15-year-old boy. He was sentenced to 10 years in prison, but was released on parole after only 18 months. Following the conviction, his wife filed for divorce, and their marriage officially ended in September 1969. On June 18, 1970, Gacy was released on probation and returned to Chicago to live with his mother. With her financial help, he bought a ranch-style house at 8213 West Summerdale Avenue in Norwood Park Township. According to Gacy, he committed all his murders there before being arrested in December 1978. In August 1971, he got engaged to his high school friend Carol Hoff, and they married in July 1972. However, the marriage only lasted until 1975. Carol began to suspect him after seeing teenage boys at their home early in the morning and finding homosexual pornography and male IDs hidden in the house. Gacy founded a construction company in Chicago called PDM Contractors, hiring young men and luring them in with promises of financial support. At the same time, he volunteered as a clown at children's parties. In late 1975, he joined a clown club called the Jolly Joker and created 2 clown personas, Pogo and Patches. He designed his own makeup and costumes. Pogo was described as cheerful, while Patches was more serious. He used these characters to attend political and charity events and visit children's hospitals, gaining trust while his inner monster fully awakened. Gacy committed his first murder in 1972. His victim was 16-year-old Timothy McCoy, whom he met at a bus terminal and invited to his home. In the morning, Gacy stabbed him to death. For years, McCoy's body was unidentified and referred to as the Greyhound Bus Boy. This marked the beginning of Gacy's descent into darkness. His second murder came in 1974. The identity of this victim was never confirmed, though forensic experts believe he was a male teenager between 14 and 18. This murder also occurred in Gacy's home, and the body was later discovered in the crawlspace beneath the house along with other victims. After his divorce, Gacy lived mostly alone, which allowed him to commit murders more frequently and with more organization. Between 1976 and 1978, the number of murders increased rapidly. His method was almost always the same. Gacy lured young men to his home with promises of jobs, easy money, or fun. Sometimes he posed as a police officer, magician, or generous businessman. Once they were inside, he would play the handcuff trick. He'd put the cuffs on himself and easily remove them, then ask the victim to try. Once they were cuffed, escape became impossible. Most murders were committed in his basement. Victims were either buried there or hidden elsewhere in the house. Some were thrown into the Chicago River. In total, Gacy murdered 33 boys and young men. These murders continued undetected for 6 years. Gacy, living a double life, played the role of a model citizen, friendly with neighbors and active in charity work, while secretly carrying victims into his home at night. The clown mask comes off. How Gacy was caught. In 1978, 15-year-old Robert Piest, who worked at a pharmacy in Des Plaines, disappeared. He had told his mother he was going to meet a contractor about a better-paying job, but he was never seen again. His family reported him missing, and suspicion fell on Gacy. The police asked Gacy to come in for questioning, but he claimed an uncle had died and didn't show up. Later, it was discovered that Gacy had dumped Piest's body into the Des Plaines River after this request. When police looked into Gacy's background, they found his record of sexual offenses and obtained a search warrant for his home. They suspected Piest might be held there. During the first search, no solid evidence was found, but officers noticed a foul odor coming from a crawlspace, which they assumed was due to old plumbing. However, a receipt from Piest's workplace was found in the house, along with a class ring later identified as belonging to another victim, John Sick. The police returned with another search warrant and discovered a trap door leading to the crawlspace. One by one, buried bodies began to emerge. The horror was beyond comprehension. Excavation revealed 29 bodies. Gacy eventually confessed. He had killed 33 people. Some he buried, and others he threw into the river. The man the public saw as a good guy was, in fact, a monster hiding behind a mask. Gacy claimed there were 4 Johns in him: Contractor John, Clown John, and Politician John. The fourth was Jack Hanley, whom he blamed for all the evil. The victims' identities were eventually discovered. They were boys and young men between 14 and 21 years old, and their stories were heartbreaking. John Butkovich. In 1975, 17-year-old Butkovich was working for Gacy's construction company. After a minor wage dispute with Gacy, he suddenly vanished. Although Gacy told the boy's family he knew nothing, his body was later found at Gacy's house. Gregory Godzik. He was only 17. He had started working for Gacy about 3 weeks earlier. One day he left home and never returned. His car was later found abandoned. His parents and sister contacted Gacy about his disappearance. Gacy claimed he had received a voicemail from Godzik but said he deleted it when they asked to hear it. His body was found in Gacy's basement among the other victims. John C. He was 19 years old and also worked for Gacy. Gacy had lured him to his house under the pretense of buying his car. After killing him, Gacy sold the vehicle. Sick's body was buried beneath the house. Samuel Stapleton and Randall Reffitt. These 2 boys were 14 years old. They disappeared on the same day and their bodies were found buried side by side. It was one of the rare cases in which Gacy killed 2 people on the same day. Michael Marino. He was 14. For years, it was believed he was one of the children buried by Gacy. However, debates regarding the accuracy of the DNA results are still ongoing. Kenneth Parker. Parker and his longtime friend, 14-year-old Michael Marino, were last seen on October 24, 1976, near a restaurant at the intersection of Clark Street and Diversey Parkway, a spot where many of Gacy's victims had last been seen. Investigators believe the friends were killed at the same time since they were buried in a shared grave beneath Gacy's home. James Hawkinson, a 16-year-old who had traveled from Minnesota to Chicago. He last spoke with his mother on August 5, 1976. He became one of Gacy's victims, and his identity was confirmed years later through DNA testing in July 2017. Robert Gilroy. At 18 years old, Gilroy was the son of a sergeant in the Chicago Police Department. The sergeant lived just 4 blocks from Gacy. No other link was established between the two. A body found in Gacy's basement was confirmed to be Gilroy's based on dental records on January 6, 1979. Francis Alexander. The last contact 21-year-old Alexander had with his family was a phone call with his mother in November. Believing he had moved to California and wanted to be alone, his family didn't report him missing. His body was found buried beneath the room Gacy used as his office. There were also victims who managed to escape Gacy's clutches. After the body search efforts concluded, they gave statements to detectives. These victims felt incredibly lucky to be alive. In Pursuit of Justice: The Trial and Death Sentence. After his arrest in 1978, Gacy's trial began in February 1980. His lawyers argued that he was mentally ill, while prosecutors insisted he was sane and fully aware of his actions. Ultimately, the jury concluded that Gacy committed the murders consciously and deliberately, sentencing him to death. Throughout the trial, Gacy showed no remorse. In some interviews, he even claimed he was innocent. In March 1980, the trial ended, and Gacy was sent to Menard Correctional Center in Illinois, where he would remain for 14 years before being transferred to Stateville Prison for execution. While in prison, he began painting clown-themed artwork in a bizarre turn of events. These paintings are still circulated among collectors, with some people describing them as demonic. On the morning of May 9, 1994, Gacy was transferred to the Stateville Correctional Center to be executed. That afternoon, he was allowed to have a private picnic with his family on prison grounds. His last meal consisted of fried chicken and shrimp, French fries, Diet Cola, and strawberries. On May 10, 1994, he was executed by lethal injection. America's Quietest Monster: A final look at the story of John Wayne Gacy. John Wayne Gacy didn't just steal 33 lives, he also shattered public trust. A man who seemed cheerful and helpful on the surface was, in reality, a monstrous serial killer. The darkness behind the clown mask taught us a grim lesson. Real monsters sometimes live right among us. So, what do you think? Was Gacy's longtime evasion of capture due to society's negligence, or was it the product of a carefully constructed illusion? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for watching. If you found this video informative, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more real crime stories. Take care of yourselves and stay aware of what's happening around you.